Hello, I am Specfood of Stormreaver, and in this guide we'll be going over the Arcane Mage DPS rotation first. The spells you'll be using will be Arcane Blast and Arcane Missiles. The standard rotation is Arcane Blast 4 times, and then Arcane Missiles on Missile Barrage proc, abbreviated as AB4 MBAM. It's simple. All you do is cast Arcane Blast 4 times, and then if you have a Missile Barrage proc, you cast Arcane Missiles. Otherwise, continue casting Arcane Blast until you have a Missile Barrage proc, at which time you'll cast Arcane Missiles on the next cast. This is a video of our latest Sarfang Hardwood kill, demonstrating the rotation, since this is like a patchwork fight. The key to acquiring the highest DPS you can is first staying alive, second mana management, and third cooldown management, while always attacking. Less downtime is more damage done. The best way to manage your cooldowns is to cast them as they line up with arcane power, and use Presence of Mind as often as you can on your fourth cast of Arcane Blast. Or if you know you're going to be moving, save it for them. As you can see, I opened the fight up with Mirror Images, followed by shortly casting a macro which casts Arcane Power, and then my DPS Trinket and Icy Veins. You want to use them in your next rotation. You'll want to use Arcane Power by itself, and then again in about 3 minutes you'll want to use all your spells again. Mana management is the most complicated part of being arcane. You're going to want to use your mana cooldowns as soon as they're useful. Once you lose 4,000 mana, cast that mana gem. Once you reach 40% mana, cast that Evocate. Even if you don't need it right that moment, it will help your mana pool last longer to cast it as soon as it's useful. Know your friendly druids and ask them for innervates when you can. And if you can get Resto Shaman, ask for Mana Tide. These will have a big impact on your mana pool and will allow you to fish longer for that Missile Barrage proc. That's the basics to being successful with an Arcane Mage. Arcane Blasting 4 times, and then Arcane Missile on Missile Barrage proc. And using your cooldowns as often as you can, and fishing as much as your mana will allow you. It's also important to know the fights beforehand so you can stay alive and have minimal downtime. For mage specific add-ons, I would suggest you get something to monitor your Arcane Blast debuff and your Missile Barrage procs. For this I use Elcano buff bars. However, it's also popular to use Power Auras for this. Also, I would suggest you get Recount, which almost any DPS class should have. And I also suggest you get Quartz, which you can see in the casting bar. At the end of the casting bar, it has a red indicator for latency, at which point, if you cast when the red starts, it should help you make up for your latency between the server and you. Besides knowing how to DPS right, it's important to know how to properly gear yourself. For this, I like to use a program called RAR. It's a theory crafting tool that works for almost every spec in class. Right now you can see myself demoing how to use it. All you have to do is open, there'll be a welcome screen, select load from armory, type in your character information, it'll retrieve it from the armory for you, and it'll pop up with all your character stats. Checkmark the Enable Metagem Requirements, go to the Buffs tab, and if you normally raid with a Draenei, which is Alliance only, go down, scroll down to Heroic Presence, and checkmark it. The Advanced tab you don't really have to worry about. You can see it'll show you all of your character stats after raid buffs. It's a good way to check your hit rating, see if you're at cap or under cap. But its main use is for gear. So I'm going to show you now with bracers. It shows me right now the filter's set to not filter anything. It'll show me all the items from all the dungeons, and it shows me direct upgrades for my bracers. As I'm right at hit cap, I would have to have a bracer with hit on it. That's why it shows these bracers. The best part of this program is the optimizer. To use it, you just checkmark the little green box to the left of the item, and you go to the tools and optimizer. And all you do is click optimize, and it'll run through all your gear, and it'll basically test it out. If you have multiple items selected for the optimizer, it'll run them all against each other to see which one produces the most DPS. You can see it shows me to switch a lot of my gems. Right now I'm at a point where haste is almost so valuable that it suggests me to gem for spell power plus haste instead of pure spell power. The website for this program is rar.codeplex.com. I'll have a link for it in the sidebar. As Arcane, your spec's going to be pretty cookie cutter. You have 4 points left over to play with. I suggest you put 2 into Magic Attunement for the extra range, which has great utility in many fights, and currently 2 points into Incanter's Absorption. And 3.3.3 patch, they're going to nerf it, it'll be useless. A lot of mages put 2 points or 3 points into Arcane Stability, because there's a lot of pushback in ICC fights. Fire and Frost really haven't been viable since back in the day. However, they are buffing it come next patch, so we'll see what it has to offer, and it might be competitive. If you have any questions after watching this video, you can send me a message or leave a comment on the video, and I will respond as soon as I can. Thank you for watching, and happy DPSing.